What's up, Royals? I'm Kai. Hope you're doing well, and in this video we are going to take a look at 5 of my male ball pythons and talk about what to look for and things to consider when selecting the male ball python for breeding. So stick around. You're watching Lucas Landon Royals. Hey Royals, welcome back. First and foremost, I want to thank those of you who submitted ideas and suggestions for video content. Some of those ideas were regarding making top 5 videos. Some of those suggestions were regarding making more educational content around ball python breeding. So I thought, why not try to combine the both? So in this video, I will be showing you 5 of my breeder males, but the content will be focused around what to look for when breeding those males, signs that they are mature, the weight, why we want their weight to be at what they are, and things like that. So let's get started with talking about the MVP of the 2022 season, and that's going to be my Sunset male. Now, he just recently shed, so he is looking absolutely beautiful. However, he is currently locked with a female, so I'm not going to be pulling him out and showing you, but I will throw some still images on the screens so you can see some of the females that he's breeding to, and if I can find some old footage of him, I'll throw that on the screen as well. Now, he came to me when he was about 700 grams, 750 grams, somewhere in that range. And now he is probably close to 900 grams. And that to me is a good size for a male that's going to be putting in a lot of work. I have him lined up with several females. Obviously, I'm not going to be breeding him to all of them at the same time. At most, I'll breed him to 4 per month. That's roughly 1 female a week that he'll be going to. Ideally, I only want to breed him to about 2 females per month. That way, he's only going to a female every other week instead of once a week. That gives him time to recover, to recuperate, and kind of build up his stamina for other females and keep that energy going for the entire season. And that's really important. And also, the weight is a huge factor here. When you have a small male, he's going to expend a lot more of his energy relatively to breeding the female, courting her, moving her into position. And if he doesn't have that weight, it's going to be much harder for him, as opposed to having a male that is a little bit bigger in size, like 900 grams, like this Sunset. So he is going to be able to much easier court the female, get her into position so that he can lock with her. And he's going to have a lot more in reserve just in case he has to shed, or just in case he misses a meal. He can still go on to lock with future females, and I don't have to be so concerned about him losing energy, losing weight, because he's already started at a very healthy condition. Now, other breeders have said that larger males tend to be lazy and sluggish. I just don't find that to be true. As long as they're lean and athletic and, in good condition, they will still breed. I think if you overfeed it and make the males fat, yeah, they're probably going to be lazy and sitting around. They probably want to go to the warm spot and focus more time and energy on digesting their meals as opposed to breeding the females. So if you keep them nice and athletic, no matter what size, at 1,000 grams, at 1,500 grams, they're still going to have that mentality or that mindset to go look for the females, court her, and breed her. Now, you also don't want to go the opposite direction and start a male at too low of a size. I know they can probably get to maturity at 400, 450 grams, but from talking to other breeders, that's just not a good, healthy size. Even though they can get the job done, a lot of times it gives you a false sense of hope, because even though you see those tails twisted together and locked together, the male might be too young to have enough sperm in order to fertilize the female, to give to the female to ultimately fertilize the eggs. So a lot of times you might end up with infertile eggs, weak veins, slugs, and things like that. Now, I may start putting the younger males that are in the 500, 600 gram range with mature females. I'm not expecting them to lock, but it does trigger the male and their hormones and things like that to become mature. And that's just being a little proactive, because I'd rather have a male that is mature and ready to breed than one that isn't ready to breed when I need it. And that's the case with this Bongo Clown. I wanted him to be the MVP to all my clown females, but that's just not the case. This one is actually 800 grams, so theoretically he is up to size. Theoretically he should be locking, but all animals are different, and that's something you need to keep in mind as well. So they all mature at different rates. This guy here is just not mature, I guess, hormonally or chemically or mentally, but from a size standpoint, he is up to size. So unfortunately, he's not going to be breeding to females, maybe later in the season. So what's going to happen now is I have another clown ball python that is going to be taking his place. Not completely though. So this is a pastel spot nose Russo clown. So he's going to take over to breed about half of the females that were originally lined up for the Bongo Clown. And I'm hoping that from a timing perspective, things fall into place. Again, I don't want one male to breed to too many females at one time. Once a week is the max, ideally once every 2 weeks, because as I said, we don't want to tire the male out, but we also don't want him to lose interest by spreading it too far apart. Now, since this male already has pastel, I want to avoid putting him with females that have pastel as well, because then I have a 75% chance of producing hatchlings with either pastel or super pastel. And I want to kind of have a variety of different combinations in each clutch. So the other male that's going to take over for the Bongo Clown is a Orange Dream Clown. Now, I think this might be a high intensity Orange Dream. I'm still not 100% sold on the idea of high intensity. Now, the breeder that I got him from said that there was regular Orange Dream and high intensity Orange Dream in the pairing, and the hatchling that I got from him happens to be, in my opinion, the best looking one out of the clutch. So for just the purpose of labeling, I did label it as high intensity Orange Dream. So this guy originally had 2 females lined up for him this season. He now has 5, all because that Bongo Clown isn't mature. So let's talk a little bit about what to look for in identifying a mature male. So we've already gone over the size requirement, but size isn't everything. So chemically, mentally, hormonally, those are things we have less control over. Now, I did mention that you can start putting your younger males with females with the intention of just getting them to sexual maturity, not really the intention of having them produce or sire a clutch of eggs. There are a few tips and tricks to try to get a younger male to mature faster, and most of them have to do with getting the scent from a mature male into the enclosure of the younger males. So that kind of gets them into gear, like there's competition and there might be females around. So he might think it's more advantageous or beneficial to mature sooner so that he can breed with a female if one happens to cross his path. Now, how you do that is you can take the shed or the sperm plug or some of the substrate from a mature male and put that into the tub of the younger male, and that smell would kickstart things. You can also take scent from a mature female and put it in the tub of the younger male as well. That again also triggers things, possibly triggers things. So he's thinking, oh, there are mature females around. So again, he wants to maybe mature faster. And when I say mature, at this point, you can't really tell, right? You can't tell psychologically what the snake is thinking, and you can't really test for hormonal or chemical changes, but what you can see are changes to their hemipenes. I know it sounds weird, sounds maybe a little bit gross to be looking at the genital area of a snake, but those changes do take place, and they are really good cues as to if that male is still immature or if it has matured to the point that it can start breeding. What you're looking for are hemipenes that are deep purple in color and thick. So there's a technique called popping. It's basically inverting their hemipenes, inverting the genital area so that the hemipenes protrude out, and then you can see what they look like. Now, another way to sex animal is by probing, but probing you are basically going into the animal's body, whereas popping you are basically allowing that the hemipenes to protrude out, and then you can visually see them. So what you are looking for in a mature male are for the hemipenes to be thick and deep purple. You're also looking for some sperm plugs, some dried sperm around that area as well. So that is a good indicator that the male is mature. Now, if you're seeing anywhere between pink, light pink to a deep red color, they're still immature. Although if you do see deep red, it's a good sign that it's close to being mature. And even if you see some sperm on an immature male, it doesn't necessarily mean they are ready to breed. It just means that they are producing sperm, but they may not be completely mature yet. You can still put them with females, and if they lock, that's great, but just be realistic with expectations. Now, I'm not gonna show you popping in this video. I don't wanna mess with the males too much, especially at the beginning of the breeding season. Somebody else, Paul from Urban Constrictor, actually did a video on just this subject, looking at the hemipenes to determine the stage of maturity they're in. So I'm gonna link to his video either in one of these corners or put it down in the description below so you can check that video out. He goes in depth on that subject matter, and it doesn't make sense for me to regurgitate what he did because he did such a great job. So I've already shown you 4 of my male ball pythons. I'm trying to find a 5th one to show you that I'm really excited about, but to be honest, I didn't get a lot of new male ball pythons in for this season because I had some from last season that I still want to use. So it's a little bit tough for me to find one that you haven't seen, so I am going to have to pick one out that you probably may have seen before, and that's this guy. This is my Dreamsicle. It still happens to be one of my favorite combinations. Double recessives, so it's a visual pied and visual lavender albino. Now this guy has sired a clutch for me last season, only 1 egg out of that clutch. Again, he was young, so it goes back to what I was saying before. When they're young, they will lock, but they may not produce a very successful clutch. And that's kind of what happened with this guy. So hopefully this season, he is a year ahead now, a lot more mature. And I can tell because as soon as he went into the tub with the female, he locked almost right away. So I'm confident that he is going to sire more clutches at higher fertility rates and hopefully yield more hatchlings. I'm excited for this season to produce more Dreamsicles and double het Dreamsicles, just Dreamsicle stuff in general, because he's the only Dreamsicle, he's the only lavender albino that I have in my collection. That about wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel and you want to be informed of future uploads, make sure you're subscribed and ring that notification bell. As always, thanks for watching. Please share, and remember, rules for life. Peace out.